Are we live? Oh, we are live. Let's turn the volume down on this one, like this. Yeah, pretend like I've actually been in the studio before and know what I'm doing. All right, there we go. Oh, there. We probably turn this one down too. All right. Let me get my coughing out of the way here so we can all have coronavirus and welcome to Negro, please. Yeah, first, I'm Dallas Scott. That's Hollywood Huff. We got Quan, the producer, in here. You're watching us on either the Negro, please, or on my Facebook page. And you can, of course, check us out on VegasHypeMedia.com, right? Did I get that right? Is there and the phone number is 702-608-3259 if you want to call and have a conversation with us today. So somebody asked me yesterday, what are we talking about on Negro, please? They're like, you got to talk about coronavirus. And I was like, no, if we spend any time on coronavirus, it'll be a very short time. And then an hour after that, the NBA canceled their season.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks and Rita, his wife Rita, both were diagnosed with coronavirus. Things just went crazy with coronavirus after that. So it's going to be hard to not talk about coronavirus. But I feel like the rest of the world is spending so much time on this. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah. It's I think it's one of those things where most people with common sense, we kind of talked about how, every few years, almost like every other year, there's some big thing that's just,
SARS, H1N1.
Yeah,
anthrax,
the bird flu, the swine flu, something. And we always just write it off as oh, the media is making us crazy. We'll be fine. I survived this. I survived that. But the big thing about this that kind of happened yesterday was none of those other things canceled the NBA, which is huge. You know what I mean? None of those other things canceled, which we found in the last 24 hours, major sports.
Everything.
You know what I mean?
All Power 5 conferences. The Pac-12 is here in Vegas. They started their tournament yesterday and canceled. The Big Ten, I think they do their tournament either in Chicago or in Indianapolis. They started their tournament and they canceled the rest of the games today. All Power 5 conferences, ACC, Big East, Pac-10, Pac-12, SEC, have all canceled their their NCAA basketball tournaments. This is crazy, right? And we just found out that the ATP has canceled their tennis tour for the next 6 weeks. Major League Baseball in the last hour has come out and said that they are delaying, they are suspending spring training.
Yeah.
And they are delaying the start of the regular baseball season by 2 weeks.
Right.
Live Nation just came out within the last hour and said they are suspending all concerts across the country. If you don't know who Live Nation is, they are the largest promoter of concerts in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have something like 85% of all concert venues in this country and concerts. So literally somewhere between 80 and 85% of all concerts in this country have just been canceled.
There's a saying that I don't even know if this is a saying, but a wise man once told me, if you're unsure about something, follow the money. If there's money involved, it's serious. If not, it might be, you might have to do some research. It might be worth ignoring. And when you start talking about all the money lost, excuse me, with just people basically either canceling events or announcing that, hey, we're going to do this without fans coming, that's serious. Because it's not just, when you talk about playing without fans, it's not just ticket sales that they're missing. We're talking about those $15 beers, those $12 hot dogs. All that money is not being made. Also, all those people who work those venues, now they all of a sudden don't have a job.
Shout out to Mark Cuban, by the way. So Mark Cuban came out yesterday and said that because the NBA season's canceled, there's a lot of employees who work. I don't know what the name of the arena the Mavericks play in is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that work there that are hourly employees that will not get their hours. He's coming up with a program that essentially they can volunteer their time and he'll still pay them. If they find a charity to volunteer towards.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's going to work, and he's working out the specifics. Yeah. He's still going to pay them. Mark Cuban is a billionaire. He's got billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Paying his employees, 30 million is not going to hurt this man whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've always liked Mark Cuban. For a lot of reasons, I just always thought that he's a very I'm a big fan of Shark Tank, and if you watch the show, you'll see that he's very honest about the things that he does on that show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's super smart. Like I've learned so much about business listening to Mark Cuban and the way he negotiates with people, and more importantly, the questions he asks of the people that he's doing. The man is incredibly intelligent, and to me, he's always seemed like a class act. And when you see him do things like this, I think it affirms that, right? That there's going to be a lot of companies out there that are going to end up closing, and I think we live in Las Vegas, and they've already closed buffets like at restaurants.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There are a lot of people who will be out of work because of that,
right?
Temporarily,
right.
I don't see the casinos making those type of corporate America making those types of concessions to employees.
No,
so to see somebody like Mark Cuban do that is amazing.
We talked about this even yesterday, where more than likely they'll shut down some buffets, maybe a couple shows might stop, but the gaming floors, the gambling, it won't stop. It'll just be very slow. The employees will show up, there'll be no work, and then we'll go home. And the same thing will happen. It will almost take an epidemic in a casino for them to actually shut down.
Right.
I've seen literally the power go out in a casino.
Oh, yeah.
The backup generators come on, and they're like, if the cameras work, we're gambling in the dark.
The worst thing is, but it's not even the fact that the casino does it. So, the 1 October shooting.
Right.
I was working that night.
Okay.
It was... Anybody who worked on the strip that night knows it was this insane thing of not knowing what's going on, right?
Right.
You're watching TVs, and most TVs in poker rooms and casinos are on silent.
Yeah.
You can only see what's happening. You can't hear what's happening.
Right.
You know there's a shooting, a mass shooting. Lots of people are out, literally outside the door from where you are.
Yeah, thousands of people in the streets running.
Yes.
Yeah.
People come running through the Bellagio where I'm working, screaming and crying. And there are people who have blood on them.
Yeah.
Right? Gamblers don't move.
Yeah.
like the staff is like, whoa, we got to get out of here. We got to do something. Gamblers are like, what do you mean? I got money on the table. We're going to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's no thought for other human beings other than gamblers. Like, they only think of themselves.
People always say, like, you watch like a zombie movie, right? And they never show how the zombie epidemic went from one zombie to like the whole world having it.
Right.
But if you're paying attention to what's happening right now, this is how. Because 90% of y'all don't think it's serious.
Because I'm going to be honest with you.
We've heard it so many times, right?
I'm one of those 90% though. Like, I'm like, every year we hear SARS is going to kill us, H1N1. Now it's a coronavirus.
The flu kills more people than this. And right. But see,
it's so crazy because yesterday I was at my doctor's office, right? And I'm waiting for my doctor to come in. So I'm scrolling through Facebook and I'm looking at people's comments. And my doctor comes in and I start talking to him about these comments. And he's like, people just need to stop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like, they just need to stop. He's like, wash your hands, wash your butt. He's like, just follow the precautions. And then he said something, he goes, 20,000 people have died this flu season in the United States alone.
Right.
From the flu.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that kind of puts it in perspective. And again, an hour later, I leave his office. The NBA cancels the season.
Yeah.
Things start snowballing.
But see, and I think here's the difference in people dying of the flu and people dying of coronavirus. With the flu, whether it works or not, we have a treatment. We have vaccines. We have at least a protocol. And people kind of know what the flu is. You know, like if you're getting super sick, if you've had the flu before, you kind of feel like, you know what, this is probably the flu. I just need to go lay down, whatever. And for a lot of people, they don't need antibiotics. They just take some pain medicine. They go lay down. They eat.
There's no antibiotic for this, though.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. For the coronavirus, there is no treatment. Right. There is no vaccine. There's just it's such a young mutation of an old virus that they don't know how to treat this one yet. So that's where the problem is. That's why everything is shutting down, because although the majority of deaths have been old people or people who have weak immune systems or they were already sick, you don't want this thing to spread so much that it starts to mutate. And then all of a sudden, you got 3 or 4 versions of the coronavirus, and we only got a cure for one of them. But now 50,000 people have it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why they're trying to contain this. That's why it's important to pay attention to what's going on now. the odds are, with everything shutting down and everything stopping, you probably will not get the coronavirus. Those are the odds of it. However, I don't want to roll the dice with something that could potentially kill me. I just don't want to be sick at all. I got kids at home. Like, I don't.
For you,
I don't
like for me, it's a little different because like you have young kids at home. Yours are like 2, 4, 1, 4, and 8 or something like that.
1, 5, and 9. Yeah.
1, 5, and 9. So like my kids are grown. So like, it's a different situation for me. But like, I'm so it's so crazy because like there's so much stuff on the internet and the news right now. It's really hard to decipher what's real and what's not real, right?
Yeah.
And then it also makes you feel like, is there something we just don't know that people aren't telling us about this disease, right? Because so we're talking about older people dying and younger people dying, which is pretty much the scenario for most viruses, right? Like it's pretty much how most viruses go.
Yeah.
But then you see like people in these videos from people in Italy. So I saw a video yesterday of a guy who was on a trip on a cruise and they had to cancel this cruise. And then it's weird because he says like him and his wife were on the cruise. He was diagnosed with it. His wife did not have it. And he's like, which is in itself weird because she's 3 feet from me at all times.
Right.
But he was talking about the treatment he went through. And basically he was like, he had a fever for 8 hours. The worst part is the cough. He's like, I just can't get rid of this cough. Yeah. But the fever's down. He has to go through. He said he was never really in any pain or anything other than the cough was just really annoying to him.
Yeah.
So then he talked about how it was just really a lot of fluids, and then they asked for antibiotics, and the doctor's like, we don't have any antibiotic for this as of right now that to do this.
Yeah.
But he didn't feel bad. Like he was never like felt like he was physically sick or you know what I mean. And he's posting videos from his quarantine area on his phone saying, hey, I'm going through this and this is what I'm going through. And then you see these people in Italy who are posting and like, oh my God, we're all going to die. I have coronavirus. It's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, has it already mutated and we're talking about two different things already? Or it's such a weird dynamic when you see these people over here freaking out and this guy over here that has it and this guy over here that they're like, okay, but this person has it and they think they're dying.
I think it's one of those, the way that I saw a video explaining it, and I guess there's different ways that you can get the virus. So there's some, I guess, I'm just in layman's terms trying to explain this here. You can get it where basically the virus just attacks your nose, right? And you sneeze and you have a little cough or whatever. And then that could be like an ear, nose, and throat kind of version of it, right? And then there's another one that attacks your lungs. And the way I understand it, like when it attacks your lungs, it's more serious because then it uses your body against you and it becomes like a respiratory issue,
right.
You know? So the same disease can attack your body in different ways. And I think that's, you know, I think that's similar with the flu. You have some people who have the flu and it is the end of the world for them. Right. And then some people are like, no, I'm going to work. You know what I mean? Those people who we're like, hey, don't go to work if you have the flu.
Right.
Like, you know?
And it's funny because I was talking to my doctor about this yesterday, and he was like, most people who get the flu, like, don't have those severe flu symptoms.
Yeah.
And that's how they pass along because they don't really, because it's their immune system is fine.
Right.
So it doesn't really affect them in that harsh way. But then you pass it on to somebody else whose immune system is weaker, and then it affects them more. And then they're the ones like, because those of us who you've had the flu before, you know what your body aches all day, like.
Yeah.
But I guess the majority of people who have the flu don't have that because they have healthier immune systems. It's kind of crazy. This is another interesting cancellation. Dane just reminded me this on our Facebook page. This is so crazy. So the Virginia Athletic Commission, the state of Virginia, has canceled their basketball tournament. Every team who qualified for the basketball tournament has been declared co-champions.
Wow.
As an athlete, that is so unsatisfying, right? Like if you think about this, like you could have a school that's never made the state championship ever, now just get their first state championship, right?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy because imagine going to NCAA games. Well, you can't go, but when they play the tournament, there's not going to be anybody there. Basketball is one of those sports where crowd participation is everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, you want people cheering you on. You're on that little 5-0 run, to bring the game to within 2 or 3 points,
Yeah.
Like, you want that energy from the crowd that hypes you up. Like, you're going to have your mom and your dad and a couple other parents there. Like, it's not the same energy.
It's like playing at 24-hour fitness before a championship. Like, I mean, it's
right.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, LeBron had made that statement of, he wouldn't want to play or he wouldn't play or something if the NBA didn't let the fans, come to the games, which I think was kind of irresponsible. But now that they've, a player has gotten it and they've canceled everything, it's like, man, like, can you imagine watching an NBA game on TV with no fans in the crowd? And the only thing you hear is like the players' reactions and a handful of things being yelled here and there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I almost feel like that game would be boring. Like, somebody could jump from the free throw line and dunk on the whole team, and it would, with no crowd reaction, you're kind of sitting there like, was that good? Like,
March,
you know what I mean?
March Madness is really like, I think it's the Super Bowl of March Madness for me in sports, right?
Yeah.
It's not the World Series. It's not the NBA Finals. Like, to me, the biggest sporting events of the year are the NBA Finals and March Madness. And so much of March Madness is that it's basketball and the upsets, right?
Yeah.
There's so much of that. This is why it sucks that so many of these conferences are canceling their tournaments, because there's always those tournaments every year where, like, some school that nobody, like, outside of the conference knows of gets on a little hot streak, wins 4 games, and upsets the conference champion. And the conference champion is no longer getting into the tournament finals because these guys, like, upset them in the tournament.
Right.
And that's part of what makes the NCAA so great, right?
Right.
And that involvement, that emotional involvement. And I can't imagine, like, remember 2 years ago when Virginia lost as a 1 seed?
Yeah.
Like, that was like
that's a huge upset.
Yeah, can you?
Now,
like, that was the quietest stadium in the world because, like, people outside. I don't remember who beat them. Like, what the name of the school was.
Yeah.
Like, it was so crazy because it was the quietest stadium in the world because people were so shocked that they were losing. Like,
you know what's funny now too is because there haven't been any, like, college players that I can think of this season that have been, like, real standouts like the past few years. So the NBA draft was already kind of going to be kind of a soft draft. It wouldn't be, it doesn't even, at least
there's
right
no
now, it doesn't seem like, there's no big name. So now all those players who might have maybe could have changed that or made themselves a big name, they're not going to get that shot. And now the NBA draft is basically like it's like a chain reaction of this was canceled. So now even the things looking down the road in the future that'll probably happen, like, pretty sure the NFL will probably start on time. I'm pretty sure the NBA draft will probably be about the same time. We should have all this under control.
You don't think Quan's looking at you like you're crazy?
I don't think the
Zero
NBA
chance the NBA draft starts at the same time.
You don't think
draft?
The NBA season won't be until August. Won't end until August.
I'm saying if they start the season the same time as in, like, when the finals is over, there's going to be there should be the same amount of time space between
the
finals and the draft,
finals will
right?
be over sometime in August, maybe. The draft is usually in July, so they can't do the draft during the season.
You think the NBA will be suspended more than a month?
Probably.
Well, when would they do the draft then? Will there not be a draft this year?
I feel like the draft. I feel like they'll have to do the draft the same time they normally do. I feel like, you can't because you don't know the seeding.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know the seeding.
You don't know
so
the money, the salary cap. You don't know anything.
So you think there won't be a draft this year, or what? When would they do it?
There will definitely be a draft, but
they have to have the draft, right?
They have no idea.
Man, that's crazy.
So when does it?
They don't know if the season's going to be out for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months.
Which even makes my point more worse. Like, now we had a lackluster draft that might not. That's even going to be more lackluster. You know what I mean? Like, it's
and the NFL draft will most likely be teams in a room calling.
Yeah, they'll probably
the names of the players. They're not going to have.
It's not going to
be out here.
Yeah, which is crazy. All in the name of safety.
And the weird thing is, like, so everything's being canceled, like, in the next month, right? Everything's delayed for 30 days. Everything's like, you can't come back Europeans can't come into this country for 30 days from Europe, with the exception of the UK, which is so weird.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out that in 2018, your current president disbanded the U.S. Pandemic Crisis Team. Like, he got rid of them 2 years ago. Just so y'all know, we had a team that, like, specifically this is what they did. He took $3 billion from the CDC budget. I don't know that they needed $3 billion because that's an awful lot of money. They went from 11 billion to 8 billion. But this pandemic special team that we had doesn't exist. Is that affecting how we're reacting now? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be really nice to have a pandemic team at least around so you could find out what is or what is not. Like, maybe we get some more information out of this, right?
I mean, we definitely need somebody in charge helping people out because according to the masses, toilet paper is a necessity right now. And I don't understand how that is your crisis go-to item. I mean, the water still runs. There has not been an attack on any water facility in the country. So we can still get water. So even people rushing out buying cases of water is like,
But this
I
is
don't
crazy,
know,
right?
at least,
Because
you need water,
this started because this is the power of the internet and social media, right?
Yeah.
This started because a news team posted on an Australian news team posted that in Australia, people were hoarding toilet paper and water, and that caused a reaction. Like, nobody in America was thinking, God, coronavirus might come here. I got to go out and get some toilet paper and water.
Yeah.
Until the Australian news team's story went viral on Facebook and social media. So now everybody's like, oh my God, we got to get toilet paper and water. And we still haven't found out how that's relevant to the coronavirus. Like, there's nothing showing that it, like, causes severe diarrhea or intestinal problems or anything like that. But no, we got to run out and get it. And when you ask people why, they're like, I don't know. Ironically, the thing you might want to stock up on is Gatorade, because, like, this might have, like, the ability to keep you dehydrated and stuff. So you might want some Gatorade and coconut water around. But ain't nobody buying
you some
that.
Pedialyte.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Pedialyte is amazing, by the way. It's the best.
And if you go to the stores that aren't on the news, like Walmart's out of toilet paper and water, Costco's out of toilet paper and water. What happens is you say that, and everyone goes where?
To Walmart and Costco.
To Walmart and Costco.
Yeah.
Because they have to see for
Albertsons
themselves. They have to take pictures. I go to the dollar store up the street, and there's at least 200 every time I go.
Right.
There's always water there.
Yeah.
It's
just funny that people.
I'm not
everything
sedating.
the media does.
And I live by myself, so, like, I don't need a rash supply of toilet paper, and I'm not sedating. I can go to the dollar store and buy 4 rolls of toilet paper for $1, and, like, like 2 4-packs will last me forever. Because because I'm single and I don't have the problems like kids and stuff anymore. But, like, again,
problems like kids. Wow. Got rid of those viruses.
Yes, the kids can be a virus. No, it's you know what it's like. I mean, you have kids at home. You have to think about. This is what, like, we're kind of getting off subject. I don't understand when I have kids at home. When I had my younger kids, almost 90% of the decisions I made involved them.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't bring a disease into my house because I have young children who are more susceptible to being critically injured because of this disease.
Right.
I'm single. I live by myself. My kids are grown. I don't have to think about them in that situation. I worry about them that they'll get it. My poor daughter, Dallas, this girl, anything that can, like, she had carbon monoxide poisoning for crying, or which one's the deadly one? Poisoning for crying out loud. Like, anything that can go wrong with this girl, she will catch. Like, if there's a flu, she catches the flu. If there's coronavirus, the poor girl's probably going to catch coronavirus being a waitress at her job. Like, her other job, like, they had a carbon dioxide leak and everybody ended up in the hospital and, like, for carbon dioxide, and they had to be pressurized and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, anything that can freakishly go wrong happens to this girl. So, like, I'm fearing for her right now because of that. My other kids, I'm like, I've seen you guys stick worse stuff in your mouth when you were kids. You'll be fine. Like, no.
Yeah, but you think like I always look at myself. There's certain things like, we buy bulk toilet paper because I have a family of 5, right? So there's always toilet paper at home.
See, and you can't go to the dollar store to do that. See, that's a different.
Right. You know what I mean? So we have cases of water at home. You know what I mean? Like, so there's one in the kitchen and then we got like 2 in the garage or something. So there's always water. But we also have a filter on the sink. You know what I mean? Like we can get filtered water out of my faucet at home. Like if I run out of either one of these things, I can turn the faucet on and drink water. If we run out of toilet paper, here's a pro tip, everybody. After you drop one, jump in the shower. I mean, if you don't have, if it's that bad, you ain't going nowhere anyway. You can't leave the house. You know what I mean? So hop in the shower, get fresh, and I mean, goodness, I don't understand people's reactions sometimes. It's just we blame the media, but it's like, no, you're just stupid. Like you just don't have any common sense. Granted, when it all hits the fan, as you can see by like, it seems like half the population, like Quan said, they say Walmart is out of toilet paper. Everybody runs to Walmart. If something really bad happened, it's going to be too late for you to act at that point. So when there's nothing going on, that's when you should have that extra case of water in the garage, that extra toilet paper, those extra cans of food. Like you prepare for these things when it's not happening. So that way, like right now, me and my family, it's business as usual. The only thing I need to go like I need to stop at the store today and get some milk, like a regular thing that apparently nobody buys. You know what I mean? So it's plenty of milk in the refrigerators at the grocery store. So
and you would think that, right, of the things that you would stock up on in a pandemic, I would think canned goods, box foods, things that don't things that you can eat that don't expire, like get you some meat and freeze it, like toilet paper. I mean, these toilet paper stocks are going to fall after this is over, right? Because everybody's already going to have like 16 cases of toilet paper. Yeah. So like people after come 30 days from now, people are going to stop buying toilet paper because this isn't going to be a thing. And like Lysol, like if you'd have bought, I think Lysol's made by Johnson & Johnson or something like that. Like their stock is going through the roof right now. The only thing surviving the stock market.
Yeah, right? The only thing surviving the crash is Johnson & Johnson.
All right, let's talk about something that's not. Let's talk about what's not going on the corona.
Uncorona related.
Uncorona related
news stories.
Where do we want to start with today? Let's start with these 10-year-old kids from Colorado, right? There's so much wrong with this story to me. 10-year-old boys in Colorado. They are pretending to be playing Fortnite. They have toy guns. We know the toy guns because they have that big round orange thing on the front that identifies all toy guns that years ago became a toy manufacturing thing because police shot some kids with a gun. And we also know that they have Nerf guns. Nerf guns don't come in black. Nerf guns are of every color in the world, but they don't make black guns. These kids are playing real Fortnite. Like, this is the sad thing, right? Like, we want kids to get out of the house. Get off that damn computer. Go outside, play, use your imagination. These kids do exactly that. Then what happens? Some jackass driver slams on his brake, causing his tire to screech, jumps out, starts yelling at the boys because he thinks they're aiming real guns at it, and starts chasing the boys. There's so much wrong with this here. First of all, he obviously didn't think they had real guns, right? Because if they had real guns, would you get out your car?
No.
Would you scream at these kids? Would you go chasing them down to their house? If you thought these kids had real guns, right?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? The worst part is, like, I don't understand how he's not charged with anything, like threatening these kids or anything, which is crazy. But these kids are arrested and charged with a Class 5 felony for menacing. We're talking about 10 years. Do you know how many times as a kid I probably took a toy gun and pretended to shoot cars that were driving by our house? Like, I should have spent like half my life in prison according to this.
I thought about this the other day when my kids were doing something, and I thought about what level of discipline to give them. And it had to be God, because I had this thought of me and one of my friends being at my grandma's house, and we used to hide in this bush and literally throw rocks at cars. I'm talking real rocks, like if I hit you in the eye, I could put your eye out. So when it hit these cars, I know it chips some paint. I know, like, as a kid, it was just a funny thing to do.
Dude,
as an adult, I'm like, wow, like, we could have been in real trouble. You know what I mean?
I got the butt whooping of my life because of this when I was a kid. We were throwing cars. We were having a barbecue. It was like the 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, we had this huge yard, and we lived, like, next to this road that was well-traveled. And we were picking up rocks and throwing them across the highway, like throwing them over the cars.
Yeah.
We hit a car. The guy came back, told my stepdad and my mother, I got the ass whooping of my lifetime for this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But these kids are with toy guns. So
Yeah.
like I didn't go to jail. Nobody called the cops on me. I got a whooping. Don't get me wrong, because
of course.
they had to pay for this guy's car or whatever.
Right.
But what bothers me the most though isn't it's the police and the prosecutors here, right?
Yeah.
Like if I was a police officer and I got called to this house for this, I'd be like, man, if you don't get the hell out of my face with this BS, like seriously, like there's real crimes going on right now that I have to take care of. I'm not dealing with these kids and these fake Nerf guns.
It's kids. They sell these toys. All right, so they're fake guns. They're Nerf guns. They're toys. They sell these toys in stores. You are allowed to play with these toys outside. Like, no law has been broken. Like, it's. I feel like this cop or whoever just wanted to side with this guy for whatever reason to just appease him.
Even
because
then,
there's
how
no
does it
like.
get to how does it get to the DA? And the DA is looking at this thing like, yep, we're going to charge these guys with menacing. It's a felony. They're 10 years old.
So here's the thing, like, because reading the story, so here's the way like crime works. Like somebody calls the police show up, they determine something happened, right? And then they write in the report what happened. The way they write the report up, they give that to the district attorney. Then the district attorney from that report decides if a crime was committed and what we're going to charge this person with, whether it's like first degree felony or I didn't even know they went to 5th degree or whatever, right? And so the DA is the one who decided to make this charge. I don't know what this cop put in this report or who knows who or what, but even the parents hired a lawyer and they went to the DA to try to persuade them to say, hey, look, let's use common sense here. These are kids playing with toy guns. Why are you charging them?
Obvious toy guns. Though.
Yeah.
Like, these are obvious toy guns. And I understand, like, if the kid walked into a liquor store or a grocery store and was trying to rob a grocery store with a toy gun, but he's not. They're standing on the side of the road pretending to shoot cars.
Yeah.
Like, and they're not even shooting the darts out of the gun because apparently the gun's broken anyway and the darts don't shoot. So these kids are out there going, pew, 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 bang, 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 bang. And now they're being faced with class 5. This doesn't even like.
Well, so here's what happened is after all of this, because apparently I guess this happened a while ago, but as of now, it seems they did get this, which is still stupid. The kid was charged with the felony. He had to do some community service. He had to do some other things. And he was able to get this expunged from his record. And it was only after they did that they were able to talk about it.
Though?
Exactly. How did it get this far? Why do parents have to go through this much?
Why is this kid doing community service over playing with a gun?
Yeah.
A toy gun. It's not like
a toy.
Yeah. And it's a Nerf gun. Like, we all see Nerf guns. They don't look remotely real. And then Nerf makes them like that on purpose, right? Like,
and so here's what I want to say, because like this is the funny part. And here's in contrast to real life. There are a lot of people who read this argument, 10-year-old boy charged with Fortnite. And they're like, oh, these people are soft, man. It's kids out here playing with guns and they're calling the police. These people are soft. They're weak, right? This is ridiculous. Almost everybody who reads this story is like, yes, this is pretty ridiculous. It shouldn't have happened.
Right.
Let me keep in mind. Let's keep in mind here. 10-year-old Tamir Rice was playing with the toy gun in the park. And a police officer basically did a drive-by shooting on this 10-year-old boy. No charges filed. That cop is still a cop right now. He's able to do his job. Nothing has happened. And this was a 10-year-old black boy playing with the toy gun in the park. Cop pulls up. It's on video. Doesn't say anything. Basically shooting the boy before the car stops moving. Okay? 10-year-old boy dead from playing with the toy gun. The response from that was, oh, he shouldn't have had a toy gun, right? So a lot of the same people who are defending that cop in that case are now saying that this guy who called the police and the cop and the DA and everybody else are soft, which they're right. You see, but it's funny how these little white kids, they're doing something, and it's like, oh, there's no way these kids should have, been charged with something. But the little black kid who's still dead, I will never forget Tamir Rice of all the other things. He's a 10-year-old boy just out in the park playing, minding his own business. Somebody called the police, and the police officer did a drive-by on him. That little boy is dead for just doing what we want our kids to do. Go outside and play. That's the flip side.
Do you know how, I don't know how many times, as a kid, we play cowboys and Indians or cops and robbers in our yard?
Yeah.
And how many times we fake shot at cars because they were the mobsters getting away? Whatever your imagination brings you as a kid, right? Like,
yeah.
And not one time did one of those people go, "Oh, those kids got a fake gun. We got to go call the cops." What? Like, seriously? When was this point in society where we're like, "Hey, we make kids adults," right? Because there is a point of let kids be kids, right?
Yeah.
Problem is that you can't let kids be kids and then charge them with adult crimes.
Right.
Where did this go wrong?
I have no idea. And I can even tell you those guns we played with as kids, the little cap guns, they were like silver and chrome plated. Some of them were even black. And they had the caps.
Because when we were kids, they still looked like guns.
Right.
And then a situation happened where a policeman took a toy gun, and that's when they started putting that orange cap on the gun.
Have the orange cap, or the gun has to be a different color.
Yeah, it can't be black, and all this craziness that goes on with these guns. And like, I just don't understand where. Like when I drive by kids and I see kids playing, I kind of smile, right? Like, there's a part of me that feels a little warm inside because I'm like, I love it, right? Because kids are playing, they're being kids, they're out there laughing and to me, the greatest sound in the world is kids laughing, right?
Yeah,
because then it makes you feel like everything's okay in the world, right? When kids laugh, especially when it's like my own kids laughing, like it's like it gives you a little bit of peace, right?
Right.
But when you start taking the laughter out of kids. These kids were probably just having a good old time. Tamir Rice was just playing with a toy gun.
Right.
Like he was just having a good old time. He wasn't bothering anybody.
Yeah.
Where did we get to the point where we're like, oh, I have to call the police for every single minute detail in the world?
Yeah. I don't understand it. I really don't get it. I mean, and it's now that because we have social media, we probably see more of these bad incidents than we probably need to see or that we're used to seeing. But even with that, shouldn't that put something in your mind to think that, you know what, I don't want this to escalate into something that's going to go viral. You know what I mean? Like I don't want these kids deadly. These kids are outside being kids. I don't want to call the cops and their parents have to get involved, and there's an unnecessary strain on somebody's life just because these kids are in the street.
And it's crazy, right? Because like these parents talk about how their son is now afraid of police. Like this kid is shook psychologically for the rest of his life because he didn't do anything wrong, right? And now he's being charged with a crime for playing. And it wasn't like we know that you can play and cross the line, right?
Yeah.
Like there's like when you play wrestle and then it gets serious and people end up getting into fights. Like there's a line. But we're talking it's an orange Nerf gun. Like
right. Yeah.
When I was a kid and I was in 4th grade, our friend Jason's mom was a cop. And they decided to play cowboys and Indians with his mom's gun. And he ended up dead because the gun was loaded. And his brother Zach pointed the gun at him and shot him. But they were like in the house when this happened too. You know what I mean? Like this was like a crazy freak accident. These things happen a lot less nowadays. Not that they don't happen, because we're so much more aware of what real guns can do. Right.
Right.
Like when you go through your gun training to get your gun licensing, like they give you the whole rundown. How to lock your gun, how to protect, like how to do this, make sure it stays out of the hands of kids, right?
Right.
But toy guns aren't going away.
Right.
Like when you tell me it's a Nerf gun, like I just want to slap the guy who pulled over, right? Like has anybody ever seriously seen a Nerf gun and felt threatened, physically threatened by a Nerf gun? And it's Nerf. You can't like it.
So you remember the movie Demolition Man?
Yeah.
Like either we have to start taking responsibility for just who we are and our own actions, or we have to start moving towards a utopia of a future like Demolition Man.
Right.
There can be no violent music. I mean, you basically only had they were left with like theme songs from foods.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's only going to be a handful of restaurants because those are the ones deemed safe. There will be no cars that cause like any type of, bad emissions. Like there's no contact. You know what I mean? You're going to be using 3 seashells instead of toilet paper. I mean, you have to either say like, look, we either have to move into this euphoria of a future where you basically have no free will. Well, you have free will, but there's nothing for you to partake in. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like if you want to smoke a cigarette, that's your business, but there will be no cigarettes to smoke. You know what I mean? Like if you want to have a drink, there will be nothing to drink. You have water. You know what I'm saying? Like, so either we're moving toward that future or we have to move to a place where we can say, you know what, we as humans just need to be better. We need to be more responsible.
Let's go to Miss Donna Howell. I like Donna Howell. Donna Howell is 42 years old. She has a 14-year-old son named Alex. Alex was charged with robbery and gang assault. We've all seen this video of this 15-year-old girl being attacked by these boys, and she was beaten up and robbed.
Yeah.
Donna's son, Alex, was one of these boys.
Yeah.
Donna says, and I love this, I wanted to kill him myself with my bare hands. Because this is every adult member of my family, right, growing up.
Yeah.
My mother, my aunts, my uncles. I taught my son better than that. We were taught better than that. This, like, I would have begged to go to jail if I was Alex. Because my parents would, like,
yeah.
We have the whole abuse thing or whatever. You deserve to get beat for this, right?
Yeah.
You beat down a girl in the street, not just one person, but it's a gang of like 5 kids here beating down this woman, this little girl in the street, stealing her money. I would have begged to go to jail when I was a kid because I would have been beat by my mother, my father, my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother would have got involved. This is ridiculous. And I applaud her for saying this. And she's like, you're on your own here, dude. Like, I raised you. But
Yeah.
as a parent, people always want to give you advice. The only advice I tell people, don't listen to anybody else's advice. Just do what you feel is best for your child, right?
Right.
And all you can do is teach your kids right from wrong and hope they listen, right? Because you can't stop your kids from doing anything, right?
Right.
Like, you can't stop your kids from having sex. Like, my parents couldn't stop me from having sex. It's just things that you're not going to stop them from being kids and growing up and exploring things and doing things.
Right.
So we get that. However, how do we get to a society where this is happening? Little boys beating up, and I'm calling them little boys, and I shouldn't because they're 14 and 15-year-old teenagers. They're about to be adults.
Yeah.
We're talking about kids. Like, I feel like these kids should be charged as adults, right? You're old enough at that point in your life where you should know way better on this.
Yeah. It's something where it's so hard because these boys, they're from 14 to 17 years old. So you're talking about high school age boys, right?
Yep.
And
Ninth, 10th grade.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Oh, he's in the 8th grade, his mom says. He's in the 8th grade.
Okay. So 8th grade to probably 10th, 11th grade, maybe, right? I don't understand what exactly is going on where you guys decide, let's go jump this girl and take her shoes.
Yeah.
Like I'll probably never understand that. I don't understand this environment. It's so much about the youth today that I don't get. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? Like having a one-on-one fight if you're a boy fighting a girl. When I grew up, it was still, even that was like frowned upon.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like even if even if like this girl like attacked a guy, you know what I mean? And he like just punched her one time to get her off of him. People still kind of like, man, that was whack. You hit a girl. You know what I mean? Some people would get it, but you still like, it wasn't cool. You know what I mean? It wasn't okay. But you have a mob. I mean, it's like, in the video, it looks like 12 people surrounding this person. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was 4 or 5 or whoever that initiated it. I don't know what this girl did. I mean, I can't see her doing something that could cause 5 guys to go and want to jump her. You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea, you know what I mean? Like how this whole thing started, but how we got here is, I can't, there's not even something I could actually
This
blame.
girl has
you know
a concussion. She's got bruises. She's scared to leave her home, the relatives say. And again, somebody was recording this, right? Not calling the police. Somebody's actually just recording this. Like, I just don't understand where we become a society. And it's crazy, right? Because I'm saying this, and then I'm going to say that society hasn't changed, right?
Yeah.
Because in the old days we had the gladiator fights, and people watched, and you rooted for the gladiator, and you wanted to see like somebody get hurt, and there's this rawness about it, right? There's this prehistoricness about it that hasn't changed in us. We are still those same humans. We haven't become more compassionate, and the UFC is a great barometer of that, right? Because we watch UFC fights. We watched the what were the girls' names this weekend that fought in the
Joanna versus Janeway Lee.
Janeway Lee.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Joanna's last name.
Yeah.
All right. That was one of the most brutal fights I've ever seen ever. And these are two women.
Yeah.
And like, what are people saying after that? Greatest fight in UFC.
Greatest fight I've ever seen in my life. Like, I mean, this girl's head looks like it's about to just bust open because there's literal damage to her. You know what I mean? Her skull now.
Like she looked like the Klingon on a Star Trek. Like it was a crazy. And she spent the night in the hospital, and they said she was okay. But like, it's the greatest fight in history, right?
Right.
Like because we saw these two just stand toe to toe and pound on each other. So like, there's still this primordialness to us that's never going to change, right? We are humans, and we are who we are.
Yeah.
But with that said, like even the gladiators, like they stopped the fights at a point where like there's this misconception because we watch TV that like gladiators fought to the death. That's not true.
Yeah, they didn't all fight to the death
because like those gladiators were slaves and they were owned by somebody.
Yeah,
and you didn't want to take one slave owner's money away from him. Right,
there's money involved.
Right,
like now there was no referee out there, stopping the fight, but it was kind of you beat this person to the point of consent. Like you beat them till they can no longer defend themselves, and then you stop. There were some that, of course, that went to the death.
Right.
It wasn't as common as the movies make it seem.
Right. It wasn't really a thing. Like gladiators were like the first celebrities. Like they actually signed autographs.
Right.
They endorsed their owners' merchandise, and they sold things at the little markets. And so like, but this hasn't changed. Like these women are going to go on. They're going to sell people's clothing, they're going to sell people's merchandising,
right?
But we're still these prehistoric beings.
I mean, it was only last year. I mean, a few months ago, we saw those teenagers. The one boy was jealous because another boy was dating his ex-girlfriend.
Oh God,
and they get into a fight, and people start filming it, and the boy stabs him to death.
And nobody says anything.
And nobody says anything. Nobody pulls out a phone to call the police. They're all just standing by recording it. And it's the same thing here. Who was recording this? Why did of the whole mob that showed up, why did no one try to pull these boys off of this girl? Why did nobody break it up? I mean, I've seen one-on-one fights, and you kind of like, okay, these are two adults. You let them go at it. They're grown men. Let them fight. But when one guy kind of has bested the other guy, people then will step in like, all right, bro, you won. You know what I mean?
It's the Karate Kid thing, right? Like Johnny's had enough. No mercy. Johnny, he's had enough.
Exactly.
Right?
And we see full-grown adults do this, and it's very sickening to see these kids, not have any form of sympathy or remorse for these guys who are attacking this girl here. We have to do better. We have to train our kids better. There's something we have to do. I mean, I salute this mom for like what she's saying, like, look, she didn't raise him like this. She's embarrassed by his actions, basically. I salute that as opposed to like a lot of the other parents kind of being silent here and not condemning this action. I want to see, like, I don't want these boys to just do their jail time for what they did here. I feel like they should have to make this up. Like, not community service, they should have to do something for her. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's when people do something, like if somebody like set somebody's car on fire, right? And then the judge is like, oh, you got to do 40 hours of community service and you get 2 years of probation. Like, nah, bro. Like, you're that person's slave now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do 40 hours of work for the person whose car you just destroyed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's, to me, justice. That's a reparation in a sense. You know what I mean? You have to make it up to that person. But
I want to, if you get a chance, everybody, first of all, follow us on Instagram at The Negro, please. Follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Negro, please. You can follow me on Instagram at DallasScott73. What's your Instagram?
Hollywood Huff.
And of course, Vegas Hype Media is it Vegas Hype Media on Instagram? On Instagram. All right. We were trying to get this video to play, but for some reason we're having technical difficulties or whatever. This young lady by the name of Randy Rosario, she reposted a video of this kid. So the story is this: this kid and his buddy are out at I believe it's a Walmart. The buddy steals some stuff. The kid is not involved with the stealing. The buddy eventually gets arrested. The kid is being held by cops until his parents get there. I don't know if we can if they can hear this if I play this like this. I just want to. This is going to be graphic, okay?
For thinking I was stealing, and now you ain't got nothing to say now, do you? Nothing to say, nothing at all. These niggas so dumb. These niggas, who, James? Oh, they got James, nigga. They trying to lock me up. Hey, you let me go, bro? I'm not gonna run nowhere. I promise you I ain't gonna. Nigga, my grandma coming through the door right now. Stop playing with me. Oh, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it. This bitch going everywhere. Nigga, I got 42 viewers. You see that, nigga? You're going viral. You and all your lame
42 views. All right. You hear this kid talking, right? This kid is talking to a police officer.
Right. How old is this kid? Like 10?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like he's so. I'm looking at this video and he looks. I mean, he could be 8. Like
he's talking. He's talking to a police officer at this point. Like the language he is using. Right. First of all, he says he didn't do anything wrong. He's wrong in that point, right? Like he's blessed that these cops aren't charging him with anything, right? Because I know this is crazy and you don't understand this, but you can be charged with a crime for being with somebody else who's committing a crime. If you walk in, if I take Steve and we go to the bank and I'm gonna run in and grab some money real quick, comes out, jump in the car and be like, okay, I got my money, and I find out that you robbed it, I'm still guilty. I'm an accessory to this crime,
exactly.
Right? After the fact.
Exactly.
Like, you didn't do anything to prevent your buddy from stealing.
Yeah.
You can be an accessory to a crime. The police aren't charging you. They understand that you didn't do anything, right?
Right.
I have so many problems. In my life, I've probably spanked my kids 2-3 times, slapped them on the butt. If this was my kid and I rolled up and he was talking to a police officer like this, I'd have punched him in his mouth, dead in front of the cop.
Forget a police officer, any
adult.
You know
any
what I
adult,
mean? Like
100%.
Like
I always, and you know this because all black kids know this. I don't care how you talk to your friends out there in the street. You do not come into my house and you do not talk to adults like that. We have all heard this 90 million times growing up, every single day of your life. You do not talk. I don't care how you talk to your friends. You do not talk to adults. Like, my kids would never, ever, ever speak to an adult like that. Like, and he doesn't just say it once. He goes on this long rant, and people are applauding this kid. If he would have been an adult, he'd have got beat down.
Yeah.
Dragged out in cuffs. Like, I feel great for the police officer. Like, had a lot of restraint, not doing anything here to this kid, right? Like, we talked a couple weeks ago about the young girl who was 6 and maybe using the police to scare her so she gets her act together.
Right.
Like, this little boy obviously isn't afraid of police, right?
Right.
He isn't afraid of any adult. He has no respect for adults whatsoever, right?
Right.
Maybe he deserved to be locked up. Like,
yeah.
If my dad would have rolled up, like, it's crazy, right? Because when we grew up, my dad would have beat me right there in front of the police for talking to an adult like that.
Right.
And the cop wouldn't have said anything.
Right.
Hey, my dad wouldn't have got arrested for child abuse. The cop would have, in fact, that's what police used to do, right? They used to let the parents handle the situation.
Right.
Now the problem is that parents don't handle it, so the police are left.
The police have to do a job.
Have to do the job of the parenting for the parents.
Right.
Same with the schools. I can't even, like, I don't understand how people are applauding this kid like he did something great here.
If this kid was 20 years old, like me, for example, okay, if I was in a store and they all of a sudden they accused me of stealing and I wasn't stealing anything and I wasn't with anybody who was stealing anything and a policeman was trying to detain me and all this stuff, I would probably respond the way this kid did. Not in that language. I would be much more respectful because I'm not a disrespectful person. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't talk like that, right? But I could understand, like, the frustration of being upset. But this kid is not. I think it's obvious that this kid doesn't have a lot of home training. A 10-year-old, my daughters are 9, 5, and 1. None of them have ever used the N-word. Not at home, as far as I know, not out in public, not anywhere else. Right? So obviously, this kid is around somebody who's just dropping that word like it's nothing because he's saying it to a cop. like it's okay. And my beef with it is not so much just that he's using the N-word. It's equivalent to him cursing or using any other language that's inappropriate. Just his entire mannerism towards this cop is just a sign that, look, man, he's innocent this time. But in 2 weeks, if we found out that, oh yeah, he was caught stealing, or, you know, he punched some kid in the face at school when the cop took him to jail, like, I wouldn't be surprised. It's this one instance that, yeah, he's innocent here. But he doesn't seem like...
But he's not completely innocent, according to...
Right. You know what I mean? So
there could have been more to this.
He's being blessed with a second
crazy,
chance.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the kids in Colorado, the cop doesn't have the common sense or the restraint.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Right? To whoa, dude, stop. These are kids playing with a toy gun.
Right.
This cop has the common sense and the restraint, like, I'm not going to put you on paper. You're a 10-year-old child or 11-year-old child, whatever this kid is.
Right.
I'm not going to do that because you didn't do this time, right?
Right.
Like, this cop could have done something. This cop could have made his life worse. But this time, the cop does the common sense thing.
Right.
And now he's paying for it, right? And this is why being a police officer is a hard job. And I understand that it's very, very difficult job. And I understand you get put in bad positions sometimes.
Yeah.
And I understand that, like, maybe you want to use common sense, and sometimes maybe common sense doesn't factor in, right? Like,
yeah.
I understand that, like, sometimes you get in situations where police don't have all the information, so your first mind says you have to protect yourself at all costs, and I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Tamir Rice, you're talking about a 10-year-old kid with a toy gun. Like, the kids in Colorado, you're talking about 10-year-old kids with toy guns.
Right.
We were going to show another video, and we're not going to have time for this today, about a guy that got beat up by police, and all he was asking was, what did I do wrong? What crime did I commit?
Right.
And now he's being drugged to the ground and stomped on by police officers. And the brashness is, like, the police know they're being filmed.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, there's no doubt that, like, there's this woman's been filming this for the entire time. They know they're being filmed, but they don't care anyway.
Right.
And this guy obviously has no weapons on him, or he's not doing, like,
right. He's got his hands up the whole time saying,
right.
what did I do wrong? What did I do?
Right.
You know, and they nobody tells him what he did.
Right.
They're just like, stay here. And he's like, why am I being detained?
Right.
And you won't even tell me what I did wrong, what I did.
Right.
And of course, there's an amount of resistance because he doesn't want to be handcuffed. And before you know it, it goes from 1 cop to 3 cops to him being surrounded by like 7 or 8 cops, being kneed, pushed to the ground, handcuffed, stomped on. And at the same time, like, at some point you hear him crying and he's still asking, what did I do wrong?
Right. The crazy part is, right, on that video, when there's 1 cop,
yeah,
it's not too out of hand, right? Like, the cop is holding him against the wall and he's just like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? When you see the other cops rush in, when you watch that video, nobody asks any questions.
Yeah.
They go straight for the guy, grab him, and slam him on the ground.
Right.
Right? Like, this 1 cop probably could have had him in handcuffs by himself.
Yeah.
Because the guy, other than, like, asking, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What did I do? Why am I being arrested?
Right.
Why are you stopping me? Get your hands off me without telling me something?
Right.
Is not doing anything, right? He's not.
Yeah.
He's not being belligerent with this cop. He's just asking what's going on. And he's not getting any explanation for it.
Right.
And now, and this is what I hate. It's crazy, right? Because, like, we talk about bad policing, and then we talk about good policing. And for every bad story, I think we should tell a good story. And to me, the good story is this cop here with this 10-year-old kid who's cussing him out and calling him nigger and everything else. Yeah. And he could have been much worse. And the cop is just kind of, like, smiling in the background, like, rolling his eyes at the kid, like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And he's not being physically aggressive with this kid or anything like that, right? He's holding the kid because he doesn't want the kid to run away. But he's not, like, body slam him. He doesn't have the kid bent up like a pretzel. He's just holding him with his one arm.
Right.
And it's like, no, you're staying. Like,
yeah.
It's nothing crazy, right?
Right.
Good cop, common sense.
Right.
The other cops rush in on this other video. Nobody asks a question.
Yeah.
They just run in, all of a sudden grab this guy, throw him down the ground. He's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And this is my problem with police work is that the after story is that they saw him and his friend smoking a marijuana joint in the park. Like, they don't have the joint to prove that.
Right.
That he did it, right?
And according to this guy, he was just walking home from work.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can say anything you want to after the fact.
Right.
And that's my problem with that situation, right? Like, and even if he was at his buddy's house smoking a joint and he's somewhere where it's illegal,
yeah.
Does the smell of marijuana on his clothes give you the right to stop him as he's walking?
Well, here's the thing too. Like, why not just say that? You got this guy up against the wall. You pull out your radio. You call him for backup, and he constantly asking you, "Why are you stopping me? Why are you stopping me?" Why is it so hard to just say, "Man, we just saw y'all over there smoking marijuana"?
Right.
You know, that's illegal. You know, give him something. Say something. Cover yourself. Because at this point, you're arresting a guy, not telling him why. This is a violation of his civil rights, like as a human being. This is to me, forget civil rights, forget the law. This is a human rights violation. The police do not have the power, nor should they, to approach any random person for any reason and arrest them or detain them without giving them a clear, concise reason why. This should be across the board. I don't care if you walk out of the house with a knife in your hand and blood all over your shirt and literally a brain hanging out of your mouth. Like, if the police arrest you and you ask why, they should have to tell you, bro, you got a brain hanging out your mouth. You're going to jail right now. We'll figure it out later. They should have to give you a reason other than just nothing. Like, they literally say nothing to him. They don't respond. The only thing they say to him, you're under arrest. Don't move. Stop trying to move. Stop trying to leave. You haven't told him why. You haven't given him a reason. So when things like this happen, as much as I want to, say like, oh, I hope they sue the police. I hope this and this happens. It's only costing us taxpayers. It ain't coming out of the police pockets. These guys will be investigated. Unless they have a history of it, maybe they'll be suspended for a week, and then they'll be back on the job. And
I also want to point out, these were not white police officers.
Nah.
These were black and Latino police officers that did this. Like, so I don't want people thinking that we're all like,
like we just hate black cops. I mean, white cops or something like that. No,
and we don't hate police. There has to be a given balance on this, right? Like, there has to be
accountability.
Yeah. And if at that point that guy said you were smoking a joint in the park, the original cop, right?
Yeah.
Then the kid has no argument, right? He has nothing like, what's it? But when you don't tell people up front and then you get arrested and then it always seems like you made something up at that point. Right.
Yeah.
And even if he was, like, there's always going to be that suspicion, right?
Right.
And now you got a kid who may not have done anything wrong, who's going to get a charge, right? He's like, I've never been arrested for anything in my life. I've never been to jail. Like,
and now his charge could at minimum be resisting arrest.
Yes.
Which, what is he being arrested for? You know what I mean?
This is the stop and frisk mentality that your boy Mike Bloomberg brought into New York.
Right.
All right, guys. This has been Negro Please. I'm your host, Dal Scott, co-host Mr. Hollywood Huff, Quan, the producer. We will be back next week. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. It is The Negro Please, or The Negro Please. The Negro Please on Instagram, Facebook. We had a post go viral with like 5 million views. It's crazy. Thank you guys for that very much. We're up to like over 1,700 Facebook page likes. If we can get those to Instagram too, that would be amazing. We'll be back next Thursday at 12 o'clock, provided we all haven't died of coronavirus.